One player every Premier League club should sign. We're going to go through all 20 teams that'll be in the Premier League in the 23-24 season. We've got to start because there's a lot of teams to get through. We're going to do it in alphabetical order, so let's start with Arsenal. What do Arsenal need? They need a Granit Xhaka replacement. Reports says there is a fee agreed for Granit Xhaka to join Bayer Leverkusen, but the transfer will only be sanctioned if they buy a replacement. One player that they should be looking at, of course, is England international and European champion Declan Rice. His quality this season has been absolutely fantastic. Could play 8, could play 6. Is a fantastic individual when it comes to ball playing, getting himself into the box, winning tackles, would be perfect. I think Arsenal have got some players in their squad, like Smith Rowe, like Fabio Vieira, that could add an attacking impetus there, like more of a number 10. Declan Rice could come in, play 6, play 8, would be absolutely fantastic. Under Arteta, Rice could improve his goal scoring as well. Granit Xhaka scored 41% of his Premier League goals this season under Mikel Arteta. Box to box Rice, love to see it. We've got to continue through though, because we've got a lot of teams to talk about. Next up, Aston Villa. Unai Emery's done a great job at Villa. One position I'd say they're a little bit weak in is in that striking area. Potentially getting a striker number 10, a second striker. Of course, Ollie Watkins has been absolutely brilliant under Unai Emery, scoring 15 goals and 6 assists in 37 games. But I think they do need someone to come in to try and, help that load. Let's go to Leeds United and sign someone like Rodrigo. Reported £3 million release clause because they got relegated. Rodrigo's had a stellar season for Leeds United, 13 goals and an assist in 31 games for an awful Leeds team this season. I think would add good quality in the box, could play as a number 10 behind Ollie Watkins as well. It would give good creativity, obviously Spanish. Unai Emery would love it. And you look at his conversion rate at 20% this season, 13 goals from 66 shots. Overperformed his XG by about 8.6. Good finisher, will add goals, great ideas. So let's move on to Bournemouth. Bournemouth who really surprised me in terms of how they got out of the relegation battle and so forth. Jefferson Lerma has left Bournemouth, joining Crystal Palace. So we're going to get a replacement for Jefferson Lerma. One thing that they could do is go to their feeder club, shall we say, or sister club, Lorient, where they bought in Django Otaria. If they could do it, I think one of the pieces of business of the season, a guy that I can't stop talking about, Enzo Lefebvre. If they could bring him to Bournemouth, he would be the perfect inside left tackle. Goals, assists, tackles. The guy can do it all. He would be brilliant, but unattainable. So we're going to look at a free signing, a free transfer, replacing Jefferson Lerma, going out on a free transfer. And that, of course, is going to the Bundesliga. And signing Ilias Skiri on a free transfer. Skiri averages around 4.7 tackles plus interceptions in the Bundesliga this season, which is more than any Bournemouth player has managed this season. Pretty decent on the ball, quite a sort of controlling, easy short passing type player, and around the tackles and interceptions, absolutely fantastic. Looking at that dual win rate of around 56%. I think he'd add a lot of quality to the midfield and add Bournemouth another body in there to replace Jeffrey Lerma on the other way out. Right, back to the Premier League. We've got so many teams to do. Next up, it is Brentford. What do Brentford need? I was looking at Brentford thinking they need a midfielder, then they need an attacker, then they need a replacement for Ivan Toney. And then I looked at their centre-halves who were getting on a little bit, to put it nicely. Obviously, Ben Mee, brilliant this season, but he is 33 years old. Zanka, 33. Pontus Jansson, 32. They need some fresh blood. And looking at that in terms of the Premier League, Southampton got relegated with two centre-backs that I like. Maybe not the best form for these two guys this season, Bella Kotchap and Salisu. Salisu would be cheaper. His contract expires in 2024. Definitely more gettable, and I think would be really good in a back three. I think at times he's been caught out with his positioning in a back two. At Brentford, it's going to be a lot better playing the majority of football in a back three. But I do think Bella Kotchap would be more expensive, but the better option. Fantastic defender, massive potential at 21 years old. Brentford, sorted. Right, on to everyone's favourite team in the Premier League, Brighton and Hove Albion. I think this one is a reasonably simple one. We don't really need to tell Brighton what to do in the transfer market because they are ridiculous at it. Of course, Alexis McAllister is going out, but Brighton have obviously got many players that could come and fulfil this role. Adam Lallana's still there. could be fit next season. James Milner's joining. Dahoud's joined from Germany. Ayari, though, is someone that I've got my eye on. This kid could be their next big thing out of Bournemouth. So I don't think they need a central midfielder. What I do think they need is a centre-back. It looks a little bit like there. They have been in talks with Chelsea for Levi Colwill, and I think he would be absolutely fantastic at Brighton. One of the best young defenders in the world. Chelsea would be silly to sell him, don't get me wrong. But for 40 million, if Brighton could do that, I think it would be a great deal. Long-term future, Colwill in defence with another player that I quite like, and that is John Paul Van Heck. Those two could be the future of Brighton going forward. Two centre-backs that have got great underlying statistics. Right, it's time to go to the Championship. Well, not the Championship for much longer. Burnley have returned after a brilliant season, 101 points in the Championship. Some of the best football we've seen in a long time there. You know, I do love Sean Dyche's 4-4-2, but no, it's a company. He's got a few things going on. Burnley, I think, need to buy in a centre forward. Jay Rodriguez and Ashley Barnes, both 33 years old. One player from the Championship that absolutely lit it up last season, of course, carried, in a sense, Coventry City to the playoffs, was Victor Gyökeres. I think he could be a great player. In terms of his skills, his skill set reminds me of someone that would be great at a Burnley. You know, balls into his feet, balls into the channels. He's tricky, directly involved in 31 goals in the Championship in the season, of course. What I think I like about him as well, he dribbles. 2.1 dribbles per game, would have great quality for Burnley in the striking position. Could be a good little move. Right, back to the Premier League. Of course, we've got to keep going through all these teams. Next up is Chelsea Football Club that are in dire need of a defensive midfielder. Looking at their squad, they don't have a holding midfielder. I think if you could give someone like an Enzo Fernandez that ability to be more of an sort of an attack-minded central midfielder versus the holder, could really do some damage. He's such a good player. So you just need someone to be his foil, someone to really operate next to him. Brilliant game against Manchester United. 92% of his passes completed, 119 touches. Was a joy to watch him that day at Old Trafford. But in terms of who they could bring in, going to Florence, a player that has been heavily linked with a move to Barcelona, Amrabat, I think would be great for Chelsea. A very much holding midfielder. Will sit, will look to dictate, will get on the ball and win tackles. You know, he's a perfect holding midfielder. You can see by his heat map there. So deep in his own half. He's got a good switch on him as well. We can see there with the statistics. 10 out of his 10 long balls completed. 1 big chance created. 1 assist. 2 out of his tackles. 1 interception. I think would be great foil for Enzo Fernandez. And considering that Chelsea are losing or have lost Jorginho, Kante, Kovacic, Mount and Ruben Loftus-Cheek, Enzo needs a partner. Great World Cup from Amrabat. Great season. Would be a great signing for Chelsea. Right, we continue through. Next up in our list of teams to sign some players is Crystal Palace. I think in terms of their squad, I think at right back there's a massive hole for a player of quality. I think when you're looking at what they could do, I would suggest them signing Aaron Wan-Bissaka back from Manchester United. Could be around £30 million, but they need to upgrade Joel Ward and Nathaniel Klein. Wan-Bissaka could lock down the flank in terms of his tacklers dribbled this season, the best percentage in European football. He's a player that would allow the rest of the team to attack as he can do the defending. Right, let's move forward to another Premier League team that just avoided relegation, that is in dire need of goals. Dominic Calvert-Lewin completely changed Dyche's Burnley when he was fit. But when he wasn't fit, Everton really struggled. So we're going to go to the Bundesliga and buy their best target man. And that, of course, is Nicholas Füllkrug. He's a player that I really like, a player that's coming into the prime of his career, 30 years old, the perfect Everton target man in terms of goals in the Bundesliga this season, 16 in 28. But I think the interesting side about his skill set is that ability to win aerial duels. 5.5 per game. The man is missing a front tooth. He's absolutely brilliant. Would suit Everton down to an absolute T. Sean Dyche. Get it done. Direct striker, perfect. We can see him operating all over the pitch, receiving those long balls, getting into the penalty area and making things happen. Right, we continue our fast-paced video today with the next team on the list, which is Fulham. 10th place finish, great season. I think one of the areas where they could improve potentially is at fullback. I do like Anthony Robinson at left back, but I think, you know, you're looking at what would really evolve this side. It's a fullback that would get the ball in the box for Mitrovic, their target. Borna Souza is a player that I've watched for a while. His improvements has been big at Stuttgart. 2 years left on his deal. I think he would provide real quality from the left-hand side. In terms of chances created, the second most amongst fullbacks in the league. You whip some balls into the box for Mitro to score some goals. I think that crossing from the left-hand side would basically be an absolute weapon for Fulham. 22 crosses in a recent Bundesliga game, 4 chances created, 92% pass accuracy. Actually, Man United should buy this guy, but would be great for Fulham. Right, on to one of the big boys, Liverpool. They need some bodies in central midfield. Alexis McAllister is not enough for Liverpool. Naby Keita's gone, Arthur's gone, Thiago's on his last legs. You're looking at someone like James Milner's gone, Oxlade-Chamberlain's gone. They need reinforcements. A simple one, simple, effective. We've spent quite a lot of time talking about the Bundesliga. We've got another player, Manu Kone. I absolutely love this midfielder. I think he's great. Two-way, carries, ball wins, makes great decisions on the ball. I think he's a really good player. Could play a really good role for Liverpool as a left central midfielder, either deep or Liverpool could change to a double pivot, which of course is an option. Jurgen Klopp had that at Borussia Dortmund, could have it again at Liverpool. Manu Kone sitting deep, potentially with McAllister, would be a great double pivot. Technically strong, athletic. Fantastic, great signing for Liverpool. So let's move on to another one of our teams that have been promoted. Luton Town's rise has been absolutely outstanding. I think when we're looking at players that they need, they do play a structure that's a 3-5-2. So they do need combative, aggressive midfielders. Marvellous Nakamba has gone back to Aston Villa. I think he would be a good signing to pick him up. But we're going to give you another player to have a look at, Luton fans, and that is Tom Krause from, of course, Schalke. He's a player that likes to win the ball back. He's a player that's aggressive, in terms of tackles plus interceptions. You're looking at 3.5 tackles per game. Schalke have got a €3 million release clause in the contract. They got relegated, so he'll be available for $3 million. Ex-Leipzig. He's very much a Red Bull footballer, super aggressive. 4th most tackles across Europe's top 5 leagues. Would be a great signing. Next, Manchester City. We've got to look at the champions-elect. How do you make this squad better? That is a real tough question, but I do think in central midfield there is a bit of a hole if İlkay Gundogan doesn't sign a new long-term deal. It is City's thinnest part of their squad. They should go out and sign Mateo Kovacic from Chelsea. I just want to see him play under Pep Guardiola. The ball carrying, the control, and he's getting into the prime as a Croatian midfielder around 29. This is when they start to prime. Already been a fantastic player for Chelsea. I think would be really good for City. And again, Bernardo Silva is reportedly leaving as well in the summer, so there's definitely a replacement in there with Mateo Kovacic. Right, across to the other club in Manchester, Manchester United. What do they need? It's quite simple. They need a goalkeeper. I think we all know this. This is just common knowledge right now. Media upgrade. David De Gea out, David Raya in. Not many years left on his contract. Great goalkeeper. I love how he plays. 27 years old. It's just simple, innit? Sometimes you get it done. Buy a ball-playing goalkeeper. Whole style changes. That is the one transfer Manchester United need. Let me know in the comments below. Think it should be a goalkeeper or a striker. Next up, Newcastle United. Champions League, Newcastle United. So we're going to go for some Champions League quality. Then we look at the Newcastle squad. I think one area for improvement is the wingers. No disrespect to Jacob Murphy. Had a great end to the season. But I feel like Miguel Almiron had his absolute peak. Best football of his career. But he's dropped off back end of the season in terms of goal involvements after going through a brilliant spell from around October to November, where he scored a whopping 7 goals in 7 Premier League matches. I don't know if he could play at that high level. They need someone that's got the energy, that can press. So why not look at RB Leipzig attacker Dominik Szoboszlai, one of the most technically gifted attacking midfielders in the world. Plays on the right-hand side for Leipzig really, really well. Shoots, scores, gets on the ball, creates chances for his teammates. A wonderful dribbler. Would be a great player for Newcastle. Can play both flanks, could play number 10 if Eddie Howe wants to change something in game. At just 22, that is a massive, massive ceiling for where he could get to in Dominik Szoboszlai. I love him. I think he's a great player. Would love to see him in the Premier League for Newcastle. What do Nottingham Forest need? I hear you ask. Nottingham Forest survived last season with a great run to the end of the season. Owoni with some brilliant goal scoring and hold-up play, really saving Forest. I think one of the things they need to maybe improve is their defence. Felipe at 34, Niakate, I think there's reinforcements that are needed there. We've seen a trend of Forest signing Brazilian players at the moment, so I think they should sign another Brazilian player, this time centre-back Nino from Fluminense. I absolutely love this guy, ball-playing centre-back, great out of the back, tackles, controls the game, brilliant defender, and I think would be in Forest's price range. I think would be a great signing. Nino to Nottingham Forest. Right, to another promoted side, what does Sheffield United need? I think losing McAtee and Tommy Doyle back to Manchester City means there could be improvements in midfield, but I think both players should go back to Sheffield United on loan. So we're going to take actually a look in the centre-forward position. Ollie McBurney had a great year in the Championship. I think he's a good Championship striker, 13 goals in 38 games. But I think there's a spot for another centre-forward. And when you're looking at the Championship, obviously a good place to recruit when you're coming out of it is bringing the best bagsman there. We've already spoke about Gyökeres, who would do a good job at Sheffield United. But let's take a look at Joel Pirou, Swansea City's number 9. A player that could easily be picked up for them, would lead the line well in terms of goals last season, 19 in the 43 games. I do think they need a bit of quality in there going forward. Looking at 41 goals in 88 Championship appearances so far, contract expiring in 2024, could be a good option. The one thing with Sheffield United, they reportedly haven't got much money, so this could be a cut price deal. We're talking 10, 15 million to buy a striker that's got potential to score in the Premier League. On to Tottenham Hotspur. There is a lot of work that needs to be done. Rumours that Harry Kane is going to leave. Tottenham are in a bit of disarray, but Ange Postecoglou has come to the club. Great football, loves to play 3/8. So we're going to go to Spurs and have a little look at their squad. I don't think there's a player capable of playing that 3/8 role that can be as good as maybe Bentancur. You've got Bentancur and you need another option. Obviously with Højbjerg holding in midfield. You've got to go to Italy, to Lazio. I think there's 2 options at Lazio that Spurs could sign if they want a more creative, ball-playing midfielder. Then you're looking at Luis Alberto at 30 years old. He is massively grown as a player since leaving Liverpool. Creative, agile. Just in this game against Empoli, 6 chances created. That gives you a bit of an idea of him. But Spurs should really go out after Sergej Milinkovic-Savic. 1 year left on his deal. His contract expires in 2024. You're looking at his statistics this season in Serie A. He finished up second in terms of assists, wrapping up 8 assists and 9 goals. 6 out of the 7 seasons he's played for Lazio has got over double figures for goals and assists. If that isn't a perfect 3/8 that can carry the ball, that can get in the box and the ball's wide for Spurs, I don't know who is. Right, on to European champions. David Moyes' West Ham United. Of course, we spoke about Declan Rice going to Arsenal before, so they need a replacement. Lucas Paquetá has been great back end of the season at number 10. His assist in the final for Jared Bowen was a brilliant through ball from that number 10 area. But with Souček in midfield, he needs a partner. And I'd probably have a look at maybe one of the teams that got relegated. James Ward-Prowse went down with Southampton this season, despite trying to keep them up single-handedly. 9 goals in the league, 4 assists as well, a set-piece specialist. Talking West Ham United, they are traditionally very good under David Moyes, scoring from set-pieces. They're about one of the best set-piece takers in the Premier League. They're going to score more goals. Simple as you like, West Ham fans. Declan Rice out, James Ward-Prowse in. Right, finally, our final team that we are addressing today is Wolverhampton Wanderers, who are pretty boring. Don't score enough goals. Fewest in the Premier League. They need a goal scorer. Costa, Raul Jimenez going. Hwang not really being the guy that we thought he was. Kolasinac, I'd like to see him back. I think he could partner this guy really well. And that is, of course, Fiorentina's Nico Gonzalez. Nico Gonzalez is a left-footed right attacker. Has been playing for Fiorentina basically on the left wing against Basel. Had a whopping 7 shots in the game. Scored twice in the Europa Conference League semi-final. He's a player that would add quality, pace, directness, and I think could provide a good option as that poacher to target man Sasha. But guys, that's it. We've done every single Premier League team. We've done them all. Get into the comments below. Who would you sign for your team? I've been Statman Dave. Subscribe if you do. See you later.